In this video, I'm going to discuss 3 critical spousal benefit rules that many people miss that lead to a lower Social Security payment, or worse yet, Social Security that goes unclaimed. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Jeff. I'm a CPA turned author turned public speaker. I'm also the creator of the course Social Security Simplified. I started this channel in 2020, really at the request of my daughter. She saw me helping relatives out with their finances, giving them great financial information, and she said, "Dad, if you can help them, can't you help others as well?" And with that, the channel was born. Today we have over 400,000 subscribers, over 65 million views, over 5 million hours of watch time, and we would love it if you join our YouTube family. Simply click subscribe and turn on notifications, and you'll get alerted the next time we post a video. We post 3 or 4 times a week. One of the most confusing benefits in Social Security is the spousal benefit. There are a lot of reasons for this, but one of the big reasons is that most people think it's just 50% of the primary earner's benefit. It's not. In fact, there are 3 big rules that, if you get them wrong, could drastically affect the size of your Social Security payment, and that is the subject of this video. First, let me just say that for clarity, in this video we're going to assume that both the primary insured and the spouse have a full retirement age of age 67. What is full retirement age? That is the age at which the recipient gets 100% of the benefit due to them. This applies both to the primary earner and the spouse. If you take it earlier than age 67, you get more payments, but the payment goes down. And just for full transparency about full retirement age, it's much more than the age where you get 100% of your benefits. There are a lot of other benefits that are attached to reaching full retirement age. For example, you can work full-time and earn as much as you want, and you don't have to give any of your Social Security payment back. There are other benefits as well, but that's just an example. All right, let's get into it. Point number 1, not understanding that the size of the spousal benefit is not directly tied to the actual size of the primary earner's payment. From the time someone starts learning about the Social Security spousal benefit, they hear comments like it can be up to 50% of the primary earner's Social Security payment. Then there's almost always a discussion that says the primary earner's payment can be as little as 70% of what they receive at full retirement age, or 124% of what they receive at full retirement age, depending on when they file for their own Social Security. It's also important to note here that over half of the primary earners filing for Social Security do so before full retirement age, so they get less than 100%. Overwhelmingly, research has shown that if the primary earner receives less than 100% of their Social Security payment, the spouse thinks that they get 50% of that number, not what they receive at full retirement age. But to be super clear here, the size of the spousal benefit is not tied to the actual payment the primary earner receives, but to the full retirement age benefit the primary earner would have received, whether they claimed early, on time, or late. Now, here's the problem with not knowing this. If, as a spouse, you believe your payment is tied to the size of the payment when your partner filed for Social Security, not the primary insurance amount, then you make some really bad decisions. Primarily, if they file early, what's the difference whether you file early or not? Because you're going to get the same amount. You're going to get 50% of a smaller amount. At least that's what people think. Some people anyway. So when the SSA indicates that you can get up to 50% of the primary insurance amount, the haircut is not based on when the primary insured filed. It's based on the age of the spouse when they filed for the spousal benefit. This is the age-based increases and reductions schedule, assuming the spouse's full retirement age is age 67. Now, you already know the maximum spousal benefit is 50% of the primary insurance amount, but it can go all the way down to 32.5% at age 62. One really important point to note here is that the spousal benefit discounts are different than the discounts for the primary insured. Let me explain. If the maximum the spouse can get is 50%, which is half of the primary insurance amount, they get 100% of that half at age 67. The primary insured also gets 100% of their own benefit at age 67. So far, so good. This is the only point where it is the same, however, because claiming early is worse for the spouse than the primary insured. If you look at the other end, the spouse gets 65% of half at age 62. That's 32.5% of the primary insurance amount. and the primary insured gets 70%, and it remains less until they both reach full retirement age. The other point to note here is that the primary insured can wait up until age 70 and their payment continues to increase. It goes from 100% at age 67 to 108% at age 68, 116% at age 69, and 124% at age 70. The spousal benefit can't go any higher than 100% of half, 50%, and that happens at age 67. If the spouse waits beyond age 67, their payment will not continue to increase. Gang, Medicare can be confusing and it can be overwhelming. Talk to anybody who's age 65 or older and they'll confirm this to you. Even with a lot of research, people routinely make mistakes on their Medicare choices, costing them hundreds of dollars a year, maybe even more. And the fact is, keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding your plan options, and making sure you're on the right plan every year takes a lot of work. That's why I want to tell you about our Trusted Medicare Partner Chapter. Chapter is one of only 3 affiliate relationships we have on this channel, and they're the only national Medicare advisor that compares and recommends every plan. They save their clients an average of $1,100 per year. They don't push you into a plan that you don't want, and their help is completely free to you. So if you're turning 65 soon or you have questions about Medicare, give them a call at 440-703-1224 to see if they can help. The next point is what I call the who goes first point. Now, this doesn't seem like a big deal for a lot of people, particularly if they're the same age or if the primary insured is older than the spouse. Who goes first means that in order for the spouse to file for his or her spousal benefit, the primary insured must file first. The spouse cannot file for the spousal benefit until the primary earner has filed for the primary insurance amount. But it becomes a very big deal if the primary insured is younger than the spouse, and it is a very, very big deal if the primary insured is much younger than the spouse. Imagine a couple that doesn't even know this rule exists. Let's call them Taylor and Jordan. Taylor is the primary insured and is 10 years younger than Jordan. Now, Jordan does everything right and waits until age 67 and thinks, perfect, I'm now maximizing my Social Security spousal benefit. And Jordan, at age 67, goes to file for the spousal benefit, and Taylor, at that exact moment, is age 57. That means Taylor is still 5 years away from the earliest claiming age 62. So even though Jordan has reached full retirement age, is ready to file, Jordan cannot file for Social Security because Taylor is 57, not 62. Because Taylor hasn't filed, Jordan cannot file for spousal benefits. Taylor must go first to unlock the spousal benefits for Jordan. And by the way, when do couples who don't know this almost always find this out? It usually happens right before the spouse tries to file for the spousal benefit. They might have built their entire retirement cash flow around that extra $1,000 a month. That's 5 years times 12 months. That's 60 months at $1,000 a month, $60,000 that they can't claim for their retirement. Now here's the part that really stings. Jordan's spousal benefit stops growing at age 67. So this isn't a strategy. It's lost money. And 5 years assumes that Taylor is willing to file for Social Security at age 62. But what happens if Taylor decides, I want to file at age 70? That means that Jordan can't file for the spousal benefit until age 80. Next up, not understanding how dual entitlement works. It's not always as cut and dry where you have one person who works and the other person who stays home and doesn't have an income. Oftentimes, with 2 people in a relationship, both people work, and both people are entitled to a Social Security payment. Now, often one person has a larger Social Security payment and the other one has a smaller Social Security payment, but somewhere in there is the conversation. And the conversation goes something like this. Hey, you have a small Social Security payment. What would happen if you filed for your own benefit now and then later switched to the spousal benefit? When someone qualifies for both their own benefit and the spousal benefit, this causes a lot of confusion. In fact, this might be the top question that comes through on my Tuesday 7 p.m. live stream every week. The question about dual entitlement. When you have both, when you're entitled to both, that's called dual entitlement. Now, in the instance where the spouse qualifies for both their own benefit and the spousal benefit, and they file for one or the other, the SSA will give them the larger of the two regardless. So if you want to take your own benefit and let the other grow, or vice versa, it won't work. If you're entitled to both benefits, the SSA will give you the larger of the two. Now, the very next comment is usually something like, yes, but you told me that I won't qualify for the spousal benefit until my big earner partner files for his or her own Social Security. So what if they don't file yet and I decide to take my own benefit until they do? Now, the SSA does know this. So when the bigger earner eventually does file and you qualify for the spousal benefit will be reduced. At least a portion of the spousal benefit will be reduced by the income that you've already taken with your own primary insurance amount, if you're the spouse, that is. Let me give you a high-level example now, and I'll put a link at the end of this video to another video I filmed that covers this in great detail. Let's say that Jordan qualifies for two benefits: Jordan's own benefit, it's a smaller benefit, and Jordan's spousal benefit, which is a higher benefit. Jordan's high-earning partner, Taylor, is the big earner in the relationship and therefore has a much larger Social Security payment. Let's say Taylor's benefit at full retirement age is $3,000. That means Jordan's spousal benefit at full retirement age is 50% of $3,000 or $1,500 per month. Jordan's own benefit at full retirement age is $1,000 per month. Now let's assume that at age 62, Jordan files for the primary insurance amount, but Taylor decides to wait. Taylor says, I'm going to wait until full retirement age so I can get the full $3,000 per month. Jordan says, fine, I'll file now on my own record. So Jordan files at age 62 and gets 70% of the full retirement age benefit. 70% of $1,000 is $700 per month. Now the next part is what most couples miss. Very important. If Taylor had filed at age 62, Jordan would have been eligible for the spousal benefit immediately. But instead of receiving 50% of Taylor's full retirement age benefit, Jordan would receive 32.5%. So Jordan's spousal benefit at age 62 would have been 32.5% times $3,000. That's $975 per month. That's $275 more than the $700 Jordan actually received. Keep that number in your mind, $275, because that is really important. Fast forward, it's 5 years later, and Taylor finally decides to file at age 67, and Taylor gets the full $3,000 per month. Now, at this point, Jordan is entitled to the spousal benefit because of the rules of dual entitlement. Jordan actually needs to take the spousal benefit. Most people assume that Jordan gets the full $1,500 a month because Jordan didn't receive the spousal benefit until age 67, but they would be incorrect. Jordan already filed early at age 62, which permanently reduced Jordan's own benefit, so Jordan does not get the full $1,500. Jordan only gets the portion that they missed earlier, that $275 gap, adjusted to what it would be at full retirement age. At age 62, Jordan's spousal benefit was 32.5%. At age 67, the spousal portion is 50%. So we scale the $275 simply by dividing 50% by 32.5%, and you come up with 1.54. So the spousal top-up is $275 times 1.54. That's $423.50 added to Jordan's current payment. Jordan's check becomes $700, which is already claimed, plus $423.50. So the total payment is $1,123.50 per month. So even though Jordan's spousal benefit would have been $1,500 per month at full retirement age, because Jordan took the primary insurance amount early, their full payment at full retirement age is $1,123.50. Now let's cover off a few less complicated points. The first is the length of marriage rule. For a spouse to qualify for a spousal benefit, they need to have been married to their partner for at least 1 year. The exception is if the spouse is the parent to the primary insured's child, either the natural parent or, in many cases, the adopted parent. Now, what about a divorced spouse benefit? Well, the length of marriage rule increases to 10 years. In other words, you have to have been married for 10 years to claim Social Security on your spouse's Social Security work record. And importantly, most of the original Social Security spousal rules still apply. The primary insured still needs to be age 62, and the primary insured needs to have filed before the divorced ex-spouse files for his or her spousal benefit. The exception is if they've been divorced for 2 years or longer. This also assumes that the divorced ex-spouse filing for the spousal benefit hasn't remarried. If they have, there's an entirely different set of rules that need to be complied with. If you like this video, check out that video, how Social Security works in dual income marriages. Also, don't forget, if you have questions about Medicare, give our partner at Chapter a call, 440-703-1224, to see if they can help. This is Jeff Schmidt, and I will see you in that video right there.